Perseverance is the mark of character. Master a subject and words will follow. Habituation brings contempt. The first quote is from the Book of Changes. The second one belongs to Cato the Elder. The third one most likely belongs to Cicero or Seneca. I do not recall. However, this little speech will be about commitment. Commitment. What is commitment? It is the precise focus on a given determined task that arrives through the use of reason, ethos, nature, pondering, insight, seeing causation, codependent, co-arising around the world. It is to commit to a cause. What does it mean? That means that wherever you are staged, a precariat intellectual like myself, or a leader, you are walking towards some kind of an expertise. Not necessarily perfection, but something that you're good at and commit to. Now, some of us are good at rhetorics, others are good at menial jobs, others at artistry, yet others in the scholarly fields, engineering fields. There's certain hierarchy of capacity and abilities here. No, not equality, equity. And equity is much more difficult than equality, because equity is based on deciding who is good at what and where does he belong. In the Confucian times, if people accepted that their minds and skills are good at something, they were committing themselves fully to this particular act. That means that they were not looking sideways, that somebody is more rich or famous, or somebody is more skilled or talented. They were exacting at their expertise and committing to what they were best at. A butcher was best at butchery. He was a master of butchery. A warrior was excelling at being a warrior. A grocery person was good at selling groceries, a marketer. And they didn't go beyond that. It's not to deny social mobility, because if that was recognized, then the whole bureaucratic Confucian apparatus came in. They recognized a child that is gifted. They recognized a person that is gifted. He went to exams to prove himself of merit, of worth, towards something. And then he exacted his commitment and perfection towards it. Now, I may say that I'm committed to lost causes, a bit of an idealist, last magicians of rational thought, last of the romantics with all the magic and theology and metaphysics, and a bit of a generalist, a scientist. I didn't receive formal scientific training, but I read a lot of social and strict sciences. But my commitment, what I may give, is to share my experience. Experience from heavy-duty traumas, sufferings, torments that I overcome to make myself into what I am now and what I will become in the future years of my existence. I'm not a self-help person. I'm not a guru of any sort. I'm not a master of any sort. I'm just here to commit the experiential knowledge that I gained throughout all these years and commit them to someone who might listen, to someone who might learn from this expertise, to someone who could avoid my pitfalls and my mistakes, to someone who would say and read, this and that. Of course you need to experience it yourself, but it is good if somebody paved the way before. Now it was all written down before. all forms of human behaviors. But with each new generation, you need to relearn those wisdoms, this knowledge, those skill sets. You need to relearn those insights, those brilliant illuminations, those realizations. Because you won't get them out of nothing, out of thin air. You need to work towards that. You need to commit. And I've recently read Arthashastra by Kautilya Chanakya. He was one of the great ministers in the Mauryan Empire, a large, large empire in the Indian subcontinent. He had a mind to master the whole state, to design the whole state with all the laws, all the suggestions, all the Machiavellian diplomatic affairs. And when I've read Arthashastra, I decided that humans didn't change much. But over time, when technology governed the primacy, people of the modern days are infantile. They infantilize themselves. Compared to the great ancient vector of times, they were like children. They were playing children's games in a very mature way, but without any wisdom, experiential knowledge, without any insight, without all the robust art of being humane. Now compare the dances, modern day dance, even at the opera house, with the dances of ancient Indian mistresses. There is a book called The Mirror of Gesture, and it is about hundreds of gestures that will read and combined in masterful art by the dancers to be read by the extremely educated and demanding audience. Just imagine that if a person dancing, a dancer, a mistress, would perform such a dance, nobody today would understand it. Maybe 1, 2 gestures. Nothing. But people understand vulgarity, brutality, what is apparent. And the age of weapons of mass destruction. Here, look there, look there, look there, advert, this, that. They are unable to concentrate because they are unable to master life. You cannot master life without observation, confrontation and quietude, contemplation, meditation and action, performance. You cannot. How do you imagine to create mature societies if you have mature children governed by idiots, which by every ancient standard are complete disasters of what it is to be a human, vir unus, the virtutes of ancient times. Every single slave in the Roman Republic or Empire would spit at your modern day leaders, thinking that there are clowns and they're better at that being some prostitutes in a brothel or dancers, honestly. Now I have a frame of reference, reading, incorporating, understanding. And those books were written by people. These are not fantasies. So, commitment. And commitment to lost causes is to incorporate those causes within, to live by them. Not to lose your spine and ethos. Not to lose your nature, not to lose your mind, your soul, heart and spirit. Daimon. Not to flatten the world. Deprived of metaphysics, of wonder, of imagination, of greatness. And when for once the air clears, you are alone with the gods alone, calling you back to their thrones, amongst these waves of masses that are blinded, disillusioned, cynical, profiteering, cast, downcast, suffer, tormented. So let this clear a bit. Let this swamp of delusion and ignorance be dispersed. And commit yourself to something that is worthwhile. Not those chases of modern people. They are as empty as their chases, dreams and visions. Commit to life itself. Heroically if you may, greatly if you can. But commit. Because otherwise, if there are no people to inspire, there is nothing to draw from. Nothing. And sooner or later, those idiots in leadership positions collapse into the crowds, and the crowds, by a feedback loop, select more and more idiots, more clowns, more imbeciles. This is the degeneration of all societies. Commit.